What's up, people? Orso Corsair coming at you with another Rogue Company video. Today, we're going to be looking at the weapon tier list, updated version. Now, I'm going to be ranking weapons from D all the way up to S tier and giving my rationale for why they are in the placement that I've placed them. Make sure to put your top 5 weapons down in the comment section, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. So at D tier, and I'm going to say this is somewhere between like D and C, I'm going to put the 2 auto shotties. So we're going to go with the 8x10, which is Lancers, and then the 12 tac, which is Buys. Now, these guns aren't awful, right? They're not F tier. They're not just guns I would say never use. But realistically, in high rank gameplay or with people who know the game, you're probably not going to get many kills with these shotguns. You might luck up, but just overall, they don't do enough damage, and the range that you have to be in makes you super vulnerable to SMGs, which simply outclass these guns right now. It's just plain and simple. Now, with that being said, on Lancer, with the quick and quiet, you can get some decent sneaky flank kills with the shotgun, but realistically, it's probably one that you want to pass up for the SMG or for Vi's actual AR. Now, moving on to the C tier, I'm going to go ahead and place the Devotion here first. Now, I wanted to start off by saying the Devotion isn't a horrible weapon either. The Devotion has a thing where it can actually shoot through people. It has bullet penetration. So if people are running in a line, which they never will be, you can headshot somebody and also get the person right behind them as well, dealing a ton of damage. But you don't usually get that chance. So when you really look at the Devotion, it's just a hard-hitting, very slow-firing weapon. So maybe you can get some good peek shots. If you're playing some Overwatch, it'll be good. But in most gunfights, you're probably going to end up losing. Now, the next one on here, and this one's probably going to be a little controversial, I'm going to say the Mark IV. Now, the reason that the Mark IV falls down to C tier is simply because it puts you in that first-person view, and it takes away your ability to shoulder swap. And I know a lot of people, well, you can't do it in first person. That's what I'm saying. If you are in first person view, you have that straight angle, right? Like, you can obviously be in cover, you can get like around a corner or something, but you won't be able to peek and get angles that other people will be able to get. And ultimately, it puts you at a disadvantage because the fire rate of it isn't so crazy to where it's a must-have gun, and the damage is pretty average. So on Saint, if you get to choose between the Mamba, which hits like a monster, and you can shoulder swap in the Mark IV, I say almost always go with the Mamba. So that's why that one's going to fall into the C tier. And then the last one that I have here is actually the Aaron. This is Phantom's weapon. She's the only person with this weapon right now, along with the sniper. Now, the Aaron, it's an interesting weapon because I don't think anybody really uses it. Like, if you have a choice between a sniper that can one-shot and an Aaron, which unless you fully upgrade it, deals doo-doo damage, especially at range, which I feel like since it has the scope on it, it should be hitting hard from range. It really doesn't. The damage drop off on it is ridiculous unless you upgrade it. So the Aaron, it definitely needs a little bit of love. Not the worst weapon in the game, but definitely if you're playing Phantom, you should be playing with the sniper. You should be hitting those headshots. Now that's going to do it for our C tier weapons. Let's go ahead and move up here to the B tier, and we're going to start off with my man Anvil's weapon, the Maw. Now, this weapon used to be an A/S tier weapon, but they went ahead and nerfed it. So they took away the accuracy of it. So now this thing is just like, it's not a gun that you can be reliable with, really, which is fair. It's an LMG. It shoots so fast. This is as fast as an SMG. So realistically, it needed the nerf, but it definitely brought it down a bit as far as usefulness. Still a great weapon, but definitely keep that in mind if you're going to pick up Anvil. Now, the next weapon we're going to put here is also an Anvil weapon. This is going to be the Arbitrator. Now, his shotgun is great. It can one-shot. Now, the only flaw with this gun is that just the magazine size is so small. The Arbitrator, you're going to get 2 shots, and then you better make those counts because then you're reloading. So, great weapon, can one-shot, but it's always going to get outclassed by the skull because even if you're both potatoes, if you only have 2 shots to play with and this other guy has 5 or 6, that guy's probably going to win, right? You're going to be reloading. He's going to be, eating your back meat up. So Arbitrator, definitely a B tier weapon, but great shotgun overall. The next weapon that we're going to put on this list is going to be the LMP. This is the SMG that Talon uses. It's also the SMG that Glitch uses. Not a bad SMG, but definitely very mid-tier type of gun. Now, if you get this one up to tier 3, it almost plays more like an AR because it can beam people from range, almost like how Dahlia's SMG can do, but it hits a little bit harder. But all in all, it's in a weird place where it's almost like it doesn't know if it wants to be an SMG or an AR, and I think ultimately that hurts it. It has a slow enough fire rate to where it gets outclassed by most other SMGs, but it has a range that makes it somewhat viable. So This one right here is not bad, but definitely when playing Talon, I think he has his DMR might be a little bit better. And for Glitch, depending on the situation, his shotgun may even be better. So just take that for what it is. Now, the last weapon that we're going to put into the B tier is going to be the Harem. This is Dallas's AR. Now, as far as the ARs go, this one is probably going to get outgunned by most of them, except the Mark IV, obviously. But when going up against any other AR, this one right here kind of falls short. It has a decent fire rate, deals decent damage. It's not a bad weapon, but it's just simply outclassed by the Nightshade, and I believe even the definitely the KA-30. So not a bad weapon, but very much mid-tier as far as the ARs go. So the first weapon that we're going to go ahead and put into the A tier is going to be the Skull 6. Now, the Skull 6 is very good for me. If you fully upgrade this thing, you can hold 8 shells in your magazine. It has the ability to one-shot people, and body damage can hit up to like 88. It can one-shot people to the body if you're right up on them, actually. Like, this gun right here is very good depending on the situation. If you're holding a base, if you're defending a point and people have to come into you, you can deal some great damage to them very quickly. So Skull 6, definitely one of the best shotgun in the game at this moment. Now, next up, we're going to go ahead and put the Deadeye up here. The Deadeye is Talon's DMR. This right here is one of the 2 DMRs in the game that can actually 2-shot, meaning 2 bullets, right? So this one right here hits the headshot for 54. The only drawback to this gun is that it's slow as crap. So if you're not shooting from cover, like if you're having a shootout with somebody in the open, any other gun almost can outgun you. But if you are hitting your headshots, you can win that fight. So it's one of those high risk, high reward type weapons. You have to have your aim on, you have to be getting the headies, and then you are shredding people. It's ridiculous. The next one that I want to throw up here is going to be the D40. This right here is Chox SMG. This SMG right here, I have a lot of respect for it. I wouldn't say it's the best SMG in the game, but it's definitely up there. And the fire rate, the damage, and the accuracy of it is what makes it so good. All in all, it's such a great weapon. When I'm playing against enemy Chox and they drop that SMG, I usually pick it up just because it deals so much damage so quickly and it catches people off guard for sure. So definitely great weapon. The next weapon that I'm going to put in the A tier, I struggled between putting it S and A, and I think it probably falls someplace in the middle. It's going to be Trench's weapon, and now Dahlia's weapon, of course, the MXR. This weapon right here has a lot of things going for it. Firstly, the body damage is like 36, headshot damage is 48. So a few shots to the body, they're going down. 3 shots to the head, they're going down. It is a good weapon in that sense. On top of that, though, it fires as quickly as you can pull the trigger pretty much. So that means that if your aim is on point, you can burst somebody down before they even know that you're there, right? Before they have a chance to even pull out that SMG or whatever they're using to try to combat you. Very good weapon. When you add it on to somebody like Trench as well, who can hold down a point, it's super oppressive, right? It keeps people from being able to push, to be able to engage. And this is the gun that allows your team to get over to you, like when you're playing demolition or extraction or whatever the case may be. So very good weapon. Definitely get used to using it because the DMRs can be a little clunky in this game, especially for my controller players. A couple of more that I'm going to put in A tier actually. We're going to go ahead and throw the Nightshade in here as well. This is Vi's AR. I almost said SMG because it plays almost like an SMG with how fast it is, but its damage is good enough to where it definitely feels like an AR. It's hitting for about 16 to the body, which isn't bad considering that the fire rate is so high. The recoil super low, so you can beam some people with this weapon. And when comparing this with her tactical shotgun, it's definitely the better bet. And I would say it'll be worth your time. You'll probably pick up more kills with this weapon for sure. Now, next up are going to be 2 SMGs. We're going to go ahead and put Lancer's SMG down here. This is the 24S. 24S, it's a good weapon. Like, this is what you should be rocking if you're playing Lancer. It's fast fire rate, deals good damage. If you're up close, you're shredding people down. And the same to be said for the SLC. SLC has even faster rate than Lancer's SMG. And the same deal, you have to be right up on them because the recoil on this is a little funky and the hip fire on this is definitely just abysmal. So you have to be fairly close to people, playing fairly aggressively, because this isn't a weapon that you're beaming people across the map with. This is I'm about to get in your face, I'm about to let you know I'm here type weapon. So keep that in mind when playing with these SMGs. They're good, but they're good if you're playing an aggressive type of in-your-face playstyle. These aren't really poke weapons, at least not consistent poke weapons. Now, that's going to be it for the A tier. Now we're going to move on to the 4 weapons that I think are top tier weapons in this game. We're going to start off here with the Mamba. Now, I know the Mamba is one of those weapons that a lot of people don't believe, like this weapon is the truth. The Mamba, fully upgraded, that damage drop off, you lose that and you're just dealing a ton of damage. 2 bursts, people go down. It's like 23 damage per bullet, right? You're shooting 3 bullets per pull of the trigger. So you are destroying people. Now, on top of that as well, this gives you the ability to shoulder swap, unlike some of the other weapons like that, because this is Saint and Dima. So having this weapon that can deal damage like that and still give you the angles that you need is a big deal. The Mamba is definitely a top choice, but I will say this again, you have to make sure that you get this up to tier 3 because that damage drop off is what's going to make this gun very mediocre. Now, the next weapon that I'm going to put here is going to be the KA-30. This may be pound for pound the best weapon in the game. Like, it's arguable with this weapon, it's definitely S tier. The KA-30 is an AR, it has a phenomenal fire rate. The damage is about 19 to the body, but not bad. Headshots, nice, 38 damage. You can burst somebody down so quickly just because of the fire rate and the consistent, decent damage. So this right here, like when I'm playing Ronin, I choose this over her SMG now just because it's a more consistent weapon. So keep that in mind as you're going through this. Not a lot of people have this gun right now. Obviously, it's Ronin and Dima, but when using it on Dima, you got a hard choice to make. But on Ronin, I would definitely recommend it. Now, I'm gonna put the objection up here. This is Dahlia's new weapon, or Dahlia's weapon. Now, as y'all know, Dahlia just came into the game. This SMG right now is ridiculous. It has absolutely no recoil. If you're on that person and you start firing, as long as you don't move the stick, you are going to be on that person. They're getting hit. This gun is phenomenal in that sense. The damage on it is fairly low, but the fire rate is so high that it makes up for that. In close quarters, you're going to burn people down so quickly, especially if you can get a couple of headshots while you're in that range. So the time to kill on this weapon is just ridiculous. Great weapon overall. The only con of this weapon too is that it will eat up a lot of your ammunition, so you're probably going to have to switch out at some point. But if you're playing demolition, it's fine. Strikeout, it might be a little bit of an issue, especially if you're not dying, right? Now, the last weapon that I'm going to put up here is going to be the full body. Now, this is a sniper. This is the only true one-shot weapon in the game, right? Or at least gun. That's not a shotgun. Let me correct that. Now, this weapon right here takes a lot of skill, though. So you can put this weapon D tier, or you can put it A tier, S tier, but it depends on who's wielding it. But I'm going to say just for what it does, it's definitely an S tier weapon. Even with the nerf bringing it from 80 down to 70 to the body, it's still a massive amount of damage. And if your team is coordinated, it will give you a great advantage in trying to push that. Now, scary thing and something to keep in mind is when you have a bad Phantom on the team, or, you know, sometimes you might be that bad Phantom. Giving the enemy team a sniper can just be devastating, right? Especially if they already have a Phantom on the team that is doing work. So keep that in mind if you're going to be playing Phantom. Make sure that you are hitting those shots and that you are watching where you're going and playing your position well. Like, don't be feeding people these snipers because they can be game changing for sure. So people, this is my weapon tier list. As I asked in the beginning of the video, make sure to give me your top 5 weapons. Let me know what you are loving right now, what you think, or which weapons you think are the best in the game. If you haven't done so already, send me some clips of you slaying out in Rogue Company. I'll put a link in the description. Also, if you're going to buy anything from the item shop, consider using supporter creator code ORSACOURSE1. A bunch of you already have been using my supporter creator code. When the battle pass comes out, I'm definitely going to take some of those funds and just start giving some giveaways. Well, maybe we'll do like 2 or 3 of them just to give back to the community a little bit, because I appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. Drop a like on this video, subscribe for more daily Roco content, and yeah, people, this is ORSACOURSE. We'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, 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 peace.